Let's begin this video by taking a look at a snippet from the episode The Long Night in the final season of Game of Thrones. Your mind is instantly drawn to what you can see. We see White Walkers climbing the wall and the people waiting in suspense trying to defend it, fire turning the environment into a murky brown color. But if you think about it, the story is actually mostly told through the sound. This happens to be the darkest Game of Thrones episode to date, sometimes rendering its visual aspects too dark to make out, thus putting greater emphasis on the sound. You hear people calling out to each other to defend their wall, the grunts of the White Walkers and the sizzling of fire. The music has a distinct ticking in it, alerting us that time is of the essence. And then there's something else, something called the shepherd tone. This sound creates an illusion, a scale that seems to be rising and falling forever without ending. The result is what one might call the sound of suspense, and in this particular Game of Thrones moment, it makes all the difference. The truth behind great sound design is that it helps you truly immerse yourself into the story. So much so that you might not even consider that it is there. Whether it be the tumultuous thunder of weaponry in Saving Private Ryan, the sound of a lightsaber in Star Wars, or the theme song accompanying Indiana Jones as he goes on his adventures, the sound in a film helps create realism, adds credibility to the story, and above all, sucks you into the emotional state of the moment. Throughout film history, sound has always been accompanying our motion pictures. And now you may be thinking, but what about silent movies? The truth is, silent films were never actually fully silent. Yes, sure, they hadn't found a way to add dialogue and sound effects onto the film strips yet, but in the silent era, live music made all the difference. It was there to set the tempo, it created the mood, and told the audience what they should feel at any given moment. When The Jazz Singer hit theaters in 1927, it surprised audiences to hear the actor Al Jolson's chatty ad-libs in between his singing.
Wait a minute, you ain't heard nothing yet. Wait a minute, I tell you ain't heard nothing.
They instantly wanted more, and while most features included a mix of pre-recorded audio and the various storytelling techniques of the silent era, just 2 years later, in 1929, 75% of movies had turned into talkies. Since then, storytellers and filmmakers have been doing their utmost to challenge how we hear and feel through sound in movies. In Coppola's Apocalypse Now, for example, sound designer Walter Murch forced both theaters and Hollywood to adopt a 6-speaker surround system by changing the way sound was edited and mixed. Murch created sound that was able to travel around the movie theater, allowing the audience to experience the film through the traumatized war-heavy mind of Captain Willard. It is clear that sound now is a major component of the filmmaking process. The sound design of any movie can be broken down into several different parts. Filmmakers are able to manipulate each sound component to contribute to the emotional feelings created in that moment. Dialogue, sound effects, music, and mixing all come together to tell you the story. Filmmakers also use both diegetic sounds, which means sounds heard inside the filmic universe, like dialogue, sound effects, or music heard by the characters, like in this unnerving Reservoir Dogs scene where the cheerful song doesn't match what is happening on screen. As well as non-diegetic sounds, like the orchestral track featured to create suspense in Jaws. In fact, music, ever since the beginning of cinematic history, is a major component of creating emotional, suspenseful stories. Music can be considered the emotional orchestrator of film. It suggests to the viewer what they should be feeling. For example, the piano tune created by the AI in Her expresses the bittersweet technological love felt between the characters.
Oh yeah? Can I hear it?
Mm-hmm. Whilst the intense violence in the psycho shower scene conveys precisely how horrifying this encounter is to the audience. By attaching a signature melody to the story, filmmakers are able to use our expectations to quickly alert us as to what we should be feeling. Take a look at Darth Vader, for instance. The menacing Imperial March sets the tone, and after hearing it a few times throughout the story, even someone not looking at the screen would be able to tell when the Imperial Empire is present and strong. In Gravity, the sound designers really explored how being inside a vacuum-like environment would affect the sound. In Eraserhead, dreary abstract sounds not reflected on screens were used to create a soundscape, a mood, and an atmosphere. And in Brokeback Mountain, different types of wind were used to signal the isolated characters' shifting emotional states. And to go even further, sound designers also frequently use something called sonic metaphors, where a different sound is added to the mix to create emotional depth. In Mad Max Fury Road, as the war rig roars through the desert, whale sounds were added to the mix to reinforce the feeling of this vehicle as a metaphor of a heavy, slow animal. As the truck takes a hit, the whale groans. It is not noticeable unless you know that it's there, but it adds an emotional depth to the sound of the vehicle. This is a powerful tool that keeps the audience engaged. So the next time you're watching a movie, try listening. What are you hearing and how does it make you feel? Join us in our next video where we delve deeper into the sound design of a movie that is entirely dependent on what you can't hear, namely silence, in John Krasinski's A Quiet Place. See you then!